I can't remember actually who wrote this one, but it's from the book Rise, Sister Rise.
Mm-hmm.
She danced because she was grateful to be alive, and she was grateful to be alive because she danced. And that is how the whole body love can sometimes work as well. Like you take care of your body because like it's showing your body love, and then you start to feel the body love and want to take more care of your body because you love your body. It's this practice. The other part too, like you said, Jenna, like it's now becoming the next diet plan, the next sort of
Right.
diet culture thing, is that
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, always here for you every single week. Right at the jump, actually, I want to tell our members what they're getting this week because it's that good. So, first, you're getting an article called Supporting Immunity Throughout the Year because we're really getting into flu season now. So, you're going to love this article. Along with that, you're getting 15% off vitamin C, vitamin D, and an immune support formulation made with beta glucans, which is amazing. I take it all the time, although you could also just take it when you feel like something's coming on. So you can actually do something about everything you learn in the article. And of course, you get a recipe. So again, since we're headed into cooler temperatures, you're getting a recipe for old-fashioned chili. It's delicious and deliciously easy. You could make it with beef or chicken or turkey or even lentils to make it plant-based. So I'm excited for you to get all of these goodies. So to get in on this, make sure you're a member. If you're not already, go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. And for just $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions with me. It's seriously a bargain. And when you take advantage of the full offerings, it's free because you're saving more than that $10 a month. So kind of a no-brainer. Show yourself that your health is a priority with this membership. Remember, all you have to do is head over to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries or click the link in the show notes. Once you're there, you click support now, enter your email, payment method, and click subscribe. You're all set to get this week's Supporting Immunity Throughout the Year article, 15% off vitamin C, vitamin D, and immune. I should also mention these are the closest to IV nutrition that you can get short of going to the doctor for a needle, which is amazing. And your old-fashioned chili recipe. All right, so the excitement continues, guys, because now I get to introduce you to our featured guest. She's a sought-after life and weight loss coach, host of the Fit and Vibrant You podcast, founder of Ascend Fitness and Lifestyle, a holistic health coaching studio in Chilliwack, British Columbia, and Fit and Vibrant Over 50. She established her credible reputation by helping thousands of women get to their happy, healthy weight permanently, naturally, and without obsession so they can live their lives. She lives in Chilliwack, British Columbia, about an hour outside of Vancouver, Canada, with her husband, Keith, their son, Jacob, and she loves being active outdoors, running, hiking, paddleboarding, mountain biking, camping, all the things. She also loves a good cup of coffee and a glass of red wine. A woman after my own heart in so many ways. Friends, help me welcome Tanja Shaw. Tanja, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah. So how are you? It's been a couple weeks since we last spoke.
It has. Doing well. Feeling right into routine again, into the fall weather. It's good.
Awesome. So you and I do very similar work, and we're also on the same page about so many things and in terms of our approach. So I'm so excited to have you here. But I always like to start, like, how did you get here? What was your path to creating Fit and Vibrant and Ascend and all the things that you have made to help people?
Well, it's like yourself. We teach what we need to learn. And when we go through this own journey and we struggle with ourselves, we really realize that we're not the only ones and that other people also have the same struggles as us. So I've always been active. I've always been fit. When I was 10, I started the kilometer club at school and I started running and I felt so good and so just accomplished. And I really fell in love with movement. And then I also had a passion and a knack for chemistry and all the sciences. And I did my degree in kinesiology because I learned you can do a science in the human body, which I thought was so amazing. After that, I started working as a kinesiologist and personal training. And at that time, I was really focused on weight loss and calories in, calories out. And as I started working with more men and women very personally, as you do when you're personal training, I really recognized that a lot of them were struggling and that I thought that they could solve all their problems with a stricter diet plan and low carb and more higher intensity workouts and just lose weight and everything will be fine. And they got results, but they never really were able to sustain it. And I realized that there was something really missing in the health and wellness industry. And at the same time, going through this, I had started my diets back in my early 20s and was struggling with disordered eating. I was always on the pursuit of perfectionism. Food controlled my life. My weight loss desires controlled my life. I remember going to Paris with my husband in 2007 and just being so worried that I would get back and gain weight. And I would step on the scale and I'd be like a couple pounds heavier. And it just really, I was in prison. I was in diet prison. And although my kind of pattern wasn't like, oh, I was like, I lost 100 pounds or anything like that, but it was the same, it's a different symptom of the same problem.
Yes.
It's about relationship with food, relationship with yourself, and learning to work with your body, learning to trust with your body. And it was in 2015 where I really realized that I had a problem. It was enough. And I really started my own wellness journey of really starting to come home to myself, starting to cultivate a better relationship with myself. And all throughout this time, I was coaching clients and I made so many mistakes with them. I feel so, if I could regret one thing, it's, all the times we put these like 28-day diet plans and they lost weight and they felt great, but they then felt like a failure because they weren't able to keep the weight off. And I just realized that there was something really, really missing in the health and the wellness and the diet industry. And I thought that what if we actually really focused on filling that gap and not just hoping that that gap's going to be filled by following said diet plan or the workout plans, and we can actually work on the inner self as well. And that's what I do. And it's been a process. It's a journey, as we say, for the last 5 years now, really focusing on that. And it's just been such an incredible journey. I'm absolutely honored and blessed that I get to spend my days speaking on the podcast, interviews like this on salad with a side of fries, coaching the women that I work with in my mastermind and at Ascend. Like, it's just been such a blessing. And I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I appreciate you sharing your story because I think we can all relate. Like, we've tried all of these things, we subscribe to these ideas. And then when it doesn't last, we're like, oh, why do we suck? And we don't. That plan, that program wasn't designed to be for forever. We can do amazing things for a finite period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you and I spoke a couple weeks ago, we really dug into the mindset of wellness and how important our thoughts are and the consequences of our own limiting beliefs. So I want to fill everybody in on our conversation a bit. And so I know this is a loaded question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So outline for us the mindset of wellness.
Oh, you're right. That is a loaded question. And I love that we're just even talking. I was going to back up a second here. I'm glad that we're talking about the mindset piece because we are taught in diets like how to diet. We're taught what to eat. We're taught that broccoli is a better choice than like a fluffy white French loaf with butter on it. We're taught all of these things that we should eat more whole foods. We should listen to but no one teaches us how to think in order to make those decisions. And that's where the mindset piece comes in, because we will never outperform our own expectations of ourselves and our own thoughts of ourselves and what we're
Wait,
able
I'm
to do.
stopping you to repeat that. We will never say it one
Out,
more time.
we will never outperform our own expectations of ourselves.
I love that.
Our thoughts, our belief systems, which some are very much aware and surface, the vast majority are deeper underneath us, drive all of our habits and all of our behaviors. And there's a really good book, actually, it was written back in the early 1900s called Psycho-Cybernetics. And it was actually a plastic surgeon who did all this plastic surgery, obviously. And he noticed that like people want to change their nose, they can be more confident salespeople, or they can want to change a part of their body. And for a lot of people, they changed their body and their confidence improved and they felt better and they loved it. And for a lot of people, it didn't. And what he recognized, this is what he started to dive in, is that what never changed is their way that they thought about themselves
Yeah.
and their identity. So think of it as like an elastic. Like you can stretch that elastic as much as you want. You can white knuckle it. You can do the diet plans. You can follow things. But you're always going to rebound back to what your identity is like and what your belief system is about yourself and about life. And until we work on this part, and sometimes it changes simply by changing your habits and by doing the things, but so often it doesn't. And this is why we struggle over and over again with, you do set diet plan for whatever, and you revert and you rebound and you do the yo-yo thing and you think that you're broken, you think that something's wrong, and nothing's wrong. It's just that
Right.
you've never learned how to overcome these belief systems. And the hard part about it is that we don't even know most of them are happening. It's like your computer software just like is operating underneath and you have no idea. So back to your question, Jen, about what does a wellness mindset look like? That was a long-winded answer there. But and this is there's so many different variations of what it could look like.
Right.
And I want you to remember, and everyone listening to there, that it's a work in progress. Like you're not going to go from like A to Z, like I nailed it. It's not a checkbox thing. It's a habit, just like keeping fit. You don't go into the gym one day and do an awesome workout. I'm like, yeah, done. I'm fit for the rest of my life. It's an ongoing process. But the two, one is like this an energetic desire to work with your body and to be compassionate with your body and to more have like kind of like that love, that respect, that appreciation. Not to say a lot of people think that acceptance, appreciation means complacency and that, oh, I'm great the way I am. I'm going to like do whatever I want. That's not true. That's one option. That's not the entire thing. And it's also about just being honest with yourself and not judging yourself so much. Like just being honest, being compassionate, being on your own side, and with the desire to actually want to take care of yourself and to actually want to feel good. If I could sort of sum that up in a couple of paragraphs, that's what it is.
Yeah. And we're going to dive into each of these pieces, but I want to go back to something that you said, which was like the stuff underneath, and that is a lot of it's a lot of the subconscious thoughts, it's a lot of the limiting beliefs that we have around our wellness. And sure, some of that is, like, oh, I failed because this didn't work. What are some of the other like thoughts or limiting beliefs that you see, having the most impact on our wellness?
Well, that's a really great question. And you're right, like that quite often our surface ones are going to be a little bit easier to identify. So we might say things like, we might even say things like, I'm really good on the weekdays and I'm terrible on the weekends, or I'm always so stressed and overwhelmed. But these are just surface beliefs. These are like the tip of the iceberg that is an indication that it's time to go a little bit deeper. And I've actually been following the last little while someone named Shelley Lepko, and she has her husband Morty, who has since passed, has so much like training and workshops and things like that on this. But the limiting beliefs that tend to drive all of our struggles are things like, I'm not worthy, I'm not important, I'm not enough, and or what makes me enough is what other people might think of me. And that are some underlying limiting beliefs that will keep bringing us back.
I love that elastic analogy, right? Like that's what just came back up for me as you're sharing this, right? It's that's the home base of that piece of elastic.
Exactly. And these are the ones that we don't think about. We don't say like, oh, I know I'm enough. But how do you know you're enough? And we base our enoughness on external validation or external results and not just who we are. The other one that comes up a lot is that failures and mistakes are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that this is where the perfectionism comes from, and why, I mean, most women who struggle with their eating and their diet and the diet cycle have some aspect of perfectionism in them. It's very, very common.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes from, is that we think that it's a bad thing, that we look at failure differently. And we can talk, intellectually, we can look at all the quotes from Oprah and, and all the people about how failure is like part of the process, and we can remind ourselves, but then we still, on a gut level, believe that it's wrong to fail, and that a failure when it comes to our eating habits or the diet or the exercise means that something is wrong with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have all the shame and all the guilt and all the we either go into like effort mode where we're like, oh, well, I might as well just like make this failure awesome and like eat all the things, because at least, and honestly, it's a sense of punishment for ourselves.
Yep.
Like we punish ourselves either by over exercising, over restricting, or over consuming food because we have all this disorder, this belief system. And then some other ones that come up a lot is, for most people, their struggle with food is not to do with lack of knowledge, it's to do with emotions. And we have a belief system that feeling certain emotions is bad. Like, it's not okay to feel sad. It's not okay to feel angry. It's like, I shouldn't feel lonely. And we feel like we have these belief systems that we can't handle it, that we can't just be safe to feel our emotions. And therefore we try to feel less by eating. So it's, it's more, and this is the work I do, because it's so much more than just like, hey, like, let's eat,
right,
palm size full of protein and you're good to go. Like it's sure, we need to have integrate those habits as well and actually know what to do. But it's really about working with our identity and our thought process and learning how to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm. And then involved in all of that too is really like personal responsibility, right? That we sort of, I don't know. I mean, I'll let you answer the question, but this idea about personal responsibility, what role that plays in our wellness?
For sure. So two parts here for personal responsibility. It's like the most powerful thing you can do is to really fully take personal responsibility for your results, for your feelings is a big one. Like, no one can make you feel a certain way. No one can make you like that. You need to take personal responsibility for your feelings. And part of that is also doing it with honesty and without judging yourself. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, like it's about like it's not your mistakes doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It's like, let's just get curious here. Let's put on a detective hat and see what might be going on to figure things out. And that mindset shift from like berating yourself and just that whole like general, like I made a mistake, I screwed up, but absolutely like looking into actually what actually went wrong and where were the process errors, and not making it so personal is how we can do it. But yeah, like we so often get into victim mode, and it's because, and a lot of the women I work with have really hard things that have happened to them in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's abuse, there's death of a child, there's like a spouse leaving them after many, many, many years. Like, there's these traumatic events. Like, there's these, and I say this like not, I mean, they're big things, they're real things. They're not just like excuses and like, oh, like, I'm watching Netflix all night and that is why I'm, not doing my workout, or this is, it's the real things. But we can either feel better by saying like, it's not our fault and it's just the way I am and it's okay because of this, or we can feel in that, yeah, you feel better because it's not your fault and you don't have control, or you can feel better by taking responsibility and doing what you can to take care of yourself. And by no means do we like need to be perfect or anything like that, but it's just really a sense of like, yeah, like, and again, when you think about the goal of wellness and mindset, it's not about just the weight loss or anything like that. It's about you taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I love this so much because it's the idea of shifting our mindset. As you said to me previously, it's about shifting our mindset to be all in versus all or nothing. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that phrase so much. I think, right, like that's sort of what we've been talking about so far is this the mindset, the limiting beliefs, the personal responsibility. It all fits under this kind of umbrella.
Absolutely. And actually the all in and all or nothing, I think I love that you brought that up because when I when I first started dating my husband, Keith, it was back in 2004 we met, and we were living in a small town, and I was all kind of nervous. I'm like, there's only 11,000 people in this town, and probably like 95% of them were over the age of 80. Like there was like in a retirement
Oh, wow.
community. It's an older community. Let's say that. And I was like, hey, if I, what if I start dating Keith and then it doesn't work out? And then what do we do? Because now he's like the only single guy that I know in this town. And so so I started looking, I wasn't really fully invested in the relationship. I was looking for the out. I was looking for all the things like what could go wrong. Like, but when I decided to like really make it work, I put all that energy, all that emotional energy into making it work. And same thing when it comes to your health and your wellness journey. It's not about being perfect. It's not like Keith and I have this amazing, perfect relationship that, and like every day is like, sunshine. Like we all know that marriage it's challenging, and it's a growth process. It's an exciting, amazing growth process. Um, and same thing with your wellness journey. But it's the commitment that you're going to go figure it out, that you're going to keep going, and that you might need to try like 30 things that don't work, and then you're going to find one that does work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's that different mindset. It's keeping the goal, but staying flexible with path and putting all that mental energy into keeping going versus all like the leaking it out of how we do.
Right. And going back to something you said before, because I want to spend a lot of time talking about, you mentioned loving our body and accepting our body. And I want to dive into that because it's, in my opinion, those have become like the new diet culture. Like these words now, like, oh, this is what we're all supposed to do. And I think it's become so loaded. So we're gonna dissect all of that really quick before we do. A message from our partner, DNA Miracles. Because every child is a miracle. DNA Miracles provides the highest quality body and wellness products designed for babies, children, and expectant mothers. All products are gentle, easy to use, and 100% effective when used as directed. DNA Miracles partner with leading health professionals and scientists who followed the highest standards in ingredient selection to create the most effective skin, hair, and health solutions. As natural as possible, DNA Miracles is the best and safest option on the market for you and your little miracle. From expert pediatricians to real family testimonials, everyone has fallen in love with DNA Miracles. So it's flu season everywhere, basically. And one of the greatest ways to support our immune health is supporting our gut health. So DNA Flora Melts and the DNA chewable probiotics provide beneficial bacteria to promote healthy digestion, support a healthy gastrointestinal tract, stomach comfort, bowel regularity, and the chewable probiotics actually do amazing things for your teeth and your gums. Adults can use it too. I actually just finished my bottle. So I highly recommend it. And the chewable probiotics, like if you're concerned about bad breath, you pop one of those, gone, amazing. So as they say, you work hard and DNA Miracles is here to lend a hand. Our products are the highest quality of body and wellness solutions, specially formulated for your little miracle. To get 10% off your order, text the word miracles, MIRACLES, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word miracles to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. All right. So coming back to body love and body acceptance, and like I said, I just think they're like now these buzzwords. So
I so agree.
Right? So how do you define body love and body acceptance?
It's a really good question. And again, I want to just really have everyone understand that it is a practice and it is a journey. And we're not going to go from like, I hate my body to I love my thighs and every inch of my body today. So this actually first really resonated with me when I was reading a book called, I think it was called The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, or was that some relationship book anyway? And he said that love is an action, not just a feeling. And I thought that was really profound because the only way that your spouse or your partner or your kid or whatever knows that you love them is by your actions, because they don't feel what you feel, but they can sense from your voice. It's a perception of what you're putting out there. And when you apply that to body love, that's such a great place to start. That it's not just a feeling initially, it can be an action. It could be really starting to take good care of yourself. Maybe it's something so simple like just breathing. And so it's not, and when I say breathing, we're all breathing, but really slowing down and focusing on your breath, and really maybe when you're moving your body, just moving in a body that makes you feel good. So it's about it can start with just like the physical actions of taking care of yourself and putting the energetic intention into doing it because you want to take care of your body. It's not like, oh, I'm eating the salad because like, oh, woe is me, and I'm on this diet plan and I need to lose this 20 pounds before I start to like myself. But no, like I'm actually eating the salad because these greens are full of nutrition and vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, and it's going to energize me. So it's about that, the intention. And I want you to know that when you start this, those other thoughts are still going to come up. Like we're not stopping the thoughts. That's not our job. But we're going to just gently not listen to them all the time, because thoughts are just words. They're just sentences. They're just words. They're not truths. And we say so much to ourselves. It's just simply not true. And that's also based on these belief systems like we talked about at the very beginning. So I think that's a really important thing to note, that it's not, like I said, it's not just the feeling. The other quote that really, I think, ties into this is, I can't remember actually who wrote this one, but it's from the book Rise, Sister Rise.
Mm-hmm.
She danced because she was grateful to be alive, and she was grateful to be alive because she danced. And that is how the whole body love can sometimes work as well. Like you dance, or sorry, like you take care of your body because like it's showing your body love, and then you start to feel the body love and want to take more care of your body because you love your body. It's this practice. The other part too, like you said, Jenna, like it's now becoming the next diet plan, the next sort of diet culture thing, is that you're going to have days where it's going to be like really on, and some days where you're not going to feel it. And that's okay. It's not going to be a constant. It's not going to be like I get it every time. Don't treat this like the next diet plan. We're like, oh, I failed at body love. Like, oh, now I'm like just totally berate myself. It absolutely is a practice, just like keeping yourself fit. It's a daily thing. It's a daily intention. There are a couple things you can, like a couple strategies here as well. One is to really recognize that your body is not just an ornament. It's just not how you look. Body love isn't about just loving the way that you look. Just like you don't love your child only because of their appearance, you love them for other qualities as well. At least I would hope so. Right. And same thing with us. Like I don't love my body just because of the way it looks. I love it because it allows me to do different things and allows me to live my life. And it is like when you think about it, we are just thoughts and energy and, emotions and spirits. And this is our physical representation of, our soul. So it's the only one I know that I'm going to have on this life. So I'm going to want to do the best. I'm choosing to love it. It's a choice. So that's really important to have that. And also I think it's really important to know, especially if you're struggling. And I just said that I like the body because I like my body because of how it moves and how it lets you do. And especially if you are struggling because your body's not always moving as well as you would like it to, or you have knee pain, or you have some things that are going on, that your body is doing the best that she can. Like, I think that's so important too. Like, so many, I work with a lot of women in their 50s and going through menopause, and a lot of women struggle with weight gain around their belly through menopause. I'm like, this is your body surviving for 50 years through all the stress and the children and the work and this and that. And she is trying her best to keep you alive. And she is doing this because she's like, oh, I need to produce estrogen, and this is the only way I know how to do it right now. Like, it's not your body's not intentionally betraying you. She really is trying. And when you understand that, and then you can again get that curious mindset and figure out, okay, what does she need? Like, what's going on? Versus berating her for not losing the weight as fast as she did when you were 20 and you did on your first bout of weight loss. Like, it's really this respect. And the other thing is with love is that it is a continuum. It can start with neutrality. It can start with respect. It can start with more acceptance of just being okay. And again, accepting your body does not mean complacency. It does not mean like, oh, I'm just the way I am and I'm going to now eat all the things because it doesn't matter. When you like something, when you love something, you also take care of it. And it's that energetic difference when you come at it. A couple extra practices. Our environment matters. If you're constantly being bombarded with the messages on social media that says that you need to fight aging, or make your skin more touchable, or that cellulite's bad, and here's like this cream to firm up your skin so you can wear a bikini at the beach, like all that kind of nonsense, just shut that off. Like, start unfollowing, unsubscribing to those messages, because when we keep seeing them, it can really affect us a little bit. So look at your environment. One other habit and practice is to really give love to other women as well. Quite often we judge other women. We put them down. We compare when we're not comfortable with ourselves. So if you start looking for the beauty in all of the women around you, and the beauty as in not just in the physical beauty as well, but and recognize that physical beauty it's such a spectrum there. But maybe you see a grandmother with her grandson and think how beautiful that is. Like, that could be a practice that's going to reflect back on you as well. And then 2 questions to ask yourself is, we do this in the morning. In my program, we have a planner that we follow and some mindset questions that we have in the morning, and setting intentions for the day. But asking yourself questions like, what does taking good care of myself look like today? So if and the other one is the if statement, like, if I loved and respected my body, what would I do today? What would I think today? What would I believe today? And then start practicing that as well. So, really good question.
I love those. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like, I think for everybody too, we can also, in addition to implementing everything you're saying, I love how you talked about too, just starting from where you're at, and accepting might be the first step, right? So noticing what you say when you look in the mirror, and starting to just be aware of, am I not trusting myself? Am I, what are all of these things? Is my self-worth connected to the scale, right? The awareness of these stories and the things that we tell ourselves, right? What are some of the other, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, like red flags?
Yeah, really good question here. Now, I just want to just say one thing what you said there about trust.
Yeah.
And trust is one thing that we often don't trust. Well, we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we say one thing and then we do something else. We're consistently breaking, like so many of us consistently break promises to ourselves. And if you think about a friend who was always mean to you and putting you down and saying nasty things about the way your butt looks, and then also every time you had a date together just didn't show up, you would probably stop being friends with that person. And so what you just said there, trust, I do want to highlight this because learning to trust our bodies and learning to trust ourselves is a really important thing to do. And this comes from now learning how to start small, like really small baby step habits that are so doable that you're like, I got this. And it's less about getting the weight off as fast as you can and more about the mindset and that relationship with yourself of learning how to trust yourself. So I did want to talk there. And then the next part you asked about, how do you know what are the red flags? And sometimes, like we talked about how our thoughts are going to affect our emotions and our feelings, are going to drive our feelings, our behaviors. The whole body love, body acceptance really starts in the mind and the beliefs and the thoughts, but those can be sometimes really hard to recognize right away. It's a bit of a layering process. As you start to become more aware, you're going to notice it more and more, but it can be really hard at the beginning. But what you can start to notice is the feeling and the habit and the behavior. Like those are the two things that we want to change. Like no one wants to just talk about belief systems. Let's change the belief systems. We want to change how we feel. We want to feel better. We want to change what we do. And when you're doing things or feeling ways that you don't like if you're doing things that you don't like, if you're feeling in ways like if you feel out of control, if you feel like the victim, you feel like you're missing out, you feel like the diet culture, you're worried if you're going to be able to keep this up, the feelings that you're not really wanting, honestly, not to say there's good or bad feelings, but we have some feelings that we want to feel more of and some that we don't. And those are the indicators that we need to start and look at and start to become more aware of what's driving that. And so it's going to be different from person to person. You mentioned looking at yourself in the mirror or like that could be one thing that you look like, and then or avoiding photographs. Maybe it is great example, but the scale. If you step on the scale and you let that dictate your self-worth or whether or not you're going to make better choices or not today, then that's an indication that there's something that needs to go on. Not setting boundaries or not feeling guilty when you're taking care of yourself is another one. Not setting people pleasing, not setting boundaries, or letting your boundaries be sort of just people coming into those boundaries for yourself, not prioritizing yourself. All of these things can be a bit of an indication that something's going on, that we need to work on a relationship with ourselves.
I love all of this. And this is all, for everybody, the how of body love and body acceptance, right? We start to dig into all this. And one of the things you said was that you called it a layering process. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So what I mean is that it's like, just like we go through limiting beliefs and stuff like that too, you start really small. Like you start with the surface layer. Think about you're peeling back the layer of the onion sort of thing. Like you start just with a little bit on the surface. Maybe it's something really small. Like maybe right now you know that you are wearing clothes in your closet that make you feel frumpy and just not good. Like you're wearing clothes that just don't make you feel good because you probably don't want to go out and buy new clothes. You're committed that you're going to. And that might be one thing that you're going to start with, is start just dressing your body the way, like in the size she is right now, because that is a commitment to yourself, that you accept yourself. And what happens, like we think that again, it's complacency. I'm just going to now just buy with bigger clothes. But it's an energetic difference because now you feel safe. Now you feel like you're enough, you're okay. And you can make better choices and you can go take care of yourself versus sort of getting away from this really negative thing that's having us. So you're going to start there. And then it's really hard to describe until you feel it, but you start to just becoming more aware. Like when you start to become more aware of your thoughts and your belief systems, they start coming, like you start just having these light bulb moments. And that's what it's like. It's like, because you're slowing down, because you're paying attention a bit more. Like I had one the other week that I was like completely floored that it came up. And I'm like, this is something that I've been struggling with for probably like, I don't know, forever, like 20 years.
Right.
And it was just like, and all of a sudden, like I was listening to a podcast and then she mentioned something. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's just that sense of awareness. And then you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. I was on a call the other day and one woman, she's just new into the program. And she was saying how, she's really struggling with always taking care of herself because she's always putting everyone else's, everyone else first. And then she's like, isn't it sad that we spend so much time taking care of other people and the consequences that we're not able to be present with them now? And I was like, yeah. And for her, that was that moment
Right.
that really hit home for her, how critical it is that she starts taking care of herself. Because here she is, like thinking she's doing, as a mom, as a grandma, doing all the things for other people. And at the end of the day, she's not showing up in life because she's not taking care of herself. She is not, like, she's overweight. She's not eating well. She's not exercising. She's not doing the things that make her feel good. And as a result, she's not there for her loved ones. Like those are the things like that's a deeper layer now. And it's just gonna,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not even like, I don't even have a checkbox or step-by-step process. It's just like you just start with one thing and start paying attention.
Yeah, I love that. And because there is no there.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing where it's not a check the box. It's not like, okay, great, done, next. It's an ever evolving process because we can always dig deeper and find a new thing and discover something else. And so knowing that it's not their destination. But similar to how we talked about some of the red flags of not loving ourselves, what are some of the, like we get that feeling, but what are some of the indications that we're moving forward, that we are moving toward body love and body acceptance?
Mm-hmm. Really good question. And they're subtle. I gotta say they're really
Yeah.
subtle. And this is the tricky part with the work that I do. It's not as like concrete as like, oh, I followed this plan and therefore I was successful. It's like these really subtle shifts. And honestly, Jen, it's like a sense of awareness. If it's like, I just like it's an energetic shift that starts to happen that changes everything. And it starts and then it continues because you keep doing the work, you keep layering on the, like keep putting on intentions, you're challenging your thoughts, you're doing the work to like shift what's happening up here. And then you just notice like, hey, I'm just being kinder to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or I slip up and I eat whatever when I said I was going to eat it. And I just didn't like completely berate myself and feel guilty anymore. And I just sort of like, hey, like that's curious. Why did I do that? And you get back and you just keep going. Like it's almost like a sense of calmness and peacefulness, if I can describe it.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. It's worth it.
Yeah, no, I love the way you described it because it isn't dramatic.
No.
It's not dramatic in the process. The time when it's dramatic, I think, is when you have that moment of realizing what you did was so different from what you used to do.
Totally. And then that comes from being aware. Like you start to,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Anything else you think we need to share that we'd be remiss if we didn't?
It's like, whoa, we did a lot.
I know.
I just want to leave off with a word of encouragement that what you're doing here is challenging. And let's say that once so that we know that it is, but not to say it like, oh, it's so hard and then waste our energy on how it's hard. Like just know that it is, you're rewiring your brain. You are shifting belief systems that probably started when you were a child. Like give yourself some compassion and allow yourself to be a beginner at this. Don't think that, like Jenny's mentioned, the diet mindset of the diet culture of, of self-love. Like it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to make progress. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like I totally like was mean to myself again, but you're going to become aware. Like it's a constant process, and it's a daily intention. It's a daily, hourly like practice of shifting those thoughts and practicing those thoughts. And it is so worth it, because when you feel good in your body, and it's not just the way your body looks or the weight that you have, it's you're going to make better, you're going to make better choices. You're going to want to take care of her. You're going to be more present, more confident, more comfortable. You're going to have more, you're going to be more engaged in life. You're going to be more sexual. You're going to be more just open to receiving and giving love. You're going to be there. And like, what a gift to give yourself.
Absolutely. Tanja, this is so helpful to hear your words and hear how you describe it, because you and I have talked about this. A lot of times we're hearing the same things, but hearing it from someone else and in a slightly different way and at a different time, all of a sudden, it's like hearing it for the first time.
So when you're ready, the teacher appears.
Right? Exactly. So this means it is time for our short list of rapid fire off-topic questions that I ask every expert who joins us. Are you ready?
Sure.
What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? And what's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week?
Oh, man. That's a really good question. I think the best thing I've done for my health this week is I was like a ninja in the kitchen this weekend. And I meal prep like you wouldn't believe. I have 5 lasagnas, 4 things of pasta sauce, 4 things of taco filling made. And the week before that, I made a stew. So I'm like set up in the freezer.
Amazing.
Yes.
What was your naughty thing?
Oh, I don't know. I'm like, I might have to like have chocolate every day, but that's like just part of what I do.
Right.
Like,
that's just normal, right?
It's normal. No. I'm all good. Everything's good.
Perfect. If you weren't a life and weight loss coach, what would you do?
Where do you come up with these questions? These are good ones. What would I do? I don't know. Like maybe like something with artsy, like probably graphic designer for myself. I love that kind of stuff. I love when in my business, I love like some of the techie side of things, like designing websites and stuff. Although I'm not sure how I like to do it with other people, but I love figuring that kind of stuff out. And I would be,
I get it.
Yeah, and I probably would be like something to do with food, or actually I used to want to be a nutritionist and a speech pathologist. So maybe that.
I see it. Favorite book on any topic except your area of expertise. Fiction counts too.
Except my area of expertise. I'm like, damn. Favorite book. You know what's funny is like I can't even think about books that I read that are not on my area of expertise, because that's all I read. I love The Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a kind of in the same realm of...
It's a mindset thing.
It is a mindset. It's a mindset book. But everything I read is on, business, mindset, emotional health. That's what...
The Alchemist is a good one.
It is good.
If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, right now, COVID-19.
You are the first person to say COVID.
Yeah. I mean, right. I just as front of mind right now, just like it's going like, here we go again. I mean, there's so much. It's a hard question to answer, because like there is so much. And then people are like, you mean you wouldn't cure cancer? You mean you wouldn't? I'm like, right. But right now,
in this moment. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
I think that these questions just like, what will be my superpower? I would love to fly. I think it'd be so much fun.
Everybody likes flying.
Yeah. I think it would be so fun to fly.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
There's a couple. I think lack of personal responsibility is something that really, I do come from a sense of, I do always have compassion and understanding, like who knows what their story is like, but I'm like, sometimes, that would be it.
And finally, in your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
I think this, and I think like sometimes I think that it's already happening and like everyone does it, but in my conversations with the women I talk to, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so different," and I just think I only follow people who are kind of like doing the same thing as me. So, but I think we're gonna see more and more of like people really understanding that it's not just like these like following these meal plans and stuff. I hope so
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah. Well, Tanya, thank you again for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you and find, the Fit and Vibrant You podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the best way to connect with me is actually on the podcast. Say if you happen to be a podcast listener, which you absolutely are because you're listening to this podcast, I have a podcast now for 5 years. It's called the Fit and Vibrant You. That's the best way to connect. Once you're on there, you can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I'm at Tanya_Shaw on Instagram. I think Tanja Shaw on Facebook. My email or my website is TanjaShaw.com. So pretty much Tanja Shaw across the board. And the Fit and Vibrant You podcast is just a nice way to sort of get more of this and also to sort of date a little bit before.
Exactly. Exactly. And we'll put links to everything in the show notes. Shameless plug. We also had a conversation on your show about, it used to be the 5 fat factors. Now it's the 6 fat factors, right? So be sure to check that one out, everybody. Tanya, thank you again. Just appreciate, your insight and your stories and being here with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Jen.
Yeah. Do you have another minute to hang out for our nutrition nugget?
Oh, sure. Let's do it.
Perfect. This week, we're talking about carrots. So this is a tricky one because they are certainly like a go-to crudité item, right? A staple in many homes because they're easy, they're a vegetable, they're crunchy, right? They give us a lot of what we're looking for. And then I also hear from people, they'll be like, "Oh, you'll be really proud of me. I stay away from carrots." So let's set the record straight. Okay. Carrots are technically they are high glycemic. Their glycemic index rating is 71. High glycemic is an indication that the food's likelihood of impacting or spiking your blood sugar. 100 is sugar, right? So 71 is high. However, the glycemic index isn't the only factor that we want to consider. We also want to consider what's called glycemic load. So glycemic load takes into account the quantity of the food that we're eating. So the glycemic load of carrots is 5. That's low. So what this actually means is that you would have to eat a lot of carrots for them to actually spike your blood sugar. So technically, because I know a lot of you guys want to know this, okay, technically it's about 3 cups of carrots at a single sitting for it to actually have a high glycemic effect. So when eating in moderation, which most of us do when it comes to carrots, we're likely maxing out at about a cup, right? So we don't really need to worry about the glycemic index of those carrots, and they can be a great choice in our healthful, nutritious lifestyle. So just looking at carrots for a hot second, what do they give us? So carrots and the vegetables in that family, which include carrots, of course, celery, parsley, and parsnips, right? They are all rich in what are called carotenoids. So the carotenoids are what give them their color. They're an antioxidant that help protect us from disease and support our immune systems. In particular, there's evidence of their support for preventing heart disease. And if you've heard of beta carotene and lutein, right, these are types of carotenoids. So carrots give us that beta carotene and some fiber, vitamin K1, potassium, and these antioxidants. Carrots contain about 86 to 95% water as well. And the edible portion is really only about 10% carbohydrates. So these are really efficient foods for us. On the fiber front, a medium-sized carrot gives us about 2 grams of fiber. So considering we want to shoot for about 25 grams of fiber per day, that's a pretty good bang for the buck in a single medium carrot. And right, that beta carotene converts to vitamin A in the body, which promotes vision health and is important for growth development and immune function. Carrots also contain biotin. which is a B vitamin, which plays a role in fat and protein metabolism, all very important for us. And then going back to vitamin K1 for a second, it's important for blood coagulation and can promote bone health as well. So we love all the nutritional value of our carrots. Sometimes people will ask me, does it matter what color the carrots are? Nope. But just like with all of our foods, we want to eat the rainbow. So choose a variety of colors of carrots that can help us also get the variety of nutrients and keep it interesting. And then the last thing is baby carrots, right? People will say, oh, do baby carrots make a difference? So first, let's just remember that baby carrots don't grow in nature, right? They are made. Personally, I taste the difference between real carrots and baby carrots. But if what you need is the convenience factor and you like that you can eat them right out of the bag, like go for it. Enjoy them. I would say, though, carrots are one of those things that we do want to eat organic. So all around, enjoy your carrots because while they're technically high glycemic index, they are low glycemic load. So as long as you're not eating 3 cups of carrots at a time, you're good. And you're getting antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that are super important for our overall health, in addition to some solid fiber. Tanja, one more time, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, love having you. As always, guys, I'm your host, Jen Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram at Jen Trepeck, JenNTrepeck. Our Facebook page is at the same handle. Of course, you can click the links in the show notes. DM, send us your questions, ideas, key takeaways. This is also the best way to reach out to learn about working with me directly. Of course, if you're not already, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries to get this week's Supporting Immunity Throughout the Year article, 15% off vitamin D, vitamin C, and our immune formula, plus the old-fashioned chili recipe. So many goodies this week. It's crazy. So everybody, remind yourself that it's all about being all in rather than all or nothing. Look at yourself in the mirror, give yourself a wink, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform, share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it and you are worth it. Happy healthy.